so much for that. That was awesome. Learned so much. We've got another fascinating conversation. Well, this isn't a conversation. We actually have an address here from Paul Thomas. He's the founder of blockchain Somnia. Super fast blockchain, about ready to launch. Started in the gaming space, but is expanding its applications. Going to talk to us about building transparent infrastructure. Please help me welcome Paul to the stage with a round of applause. Thank you, Paul.
Hello, everyone. Very nice to meet you. My name is Paul. I'm the founder of Somnia. And today I'm going to give you a talk on how we believe the Web3 industry should move forward, making blockchain transparent infrastructure. So I'd like to start this talk by talking about why we built Somnia and what we were thinking when we were building it. So I used to work at a company called Interoperability. We built technology for massively multiplayer online virtual experiences. We applied that to the gaming industry, to the sporting industry, and to the music industry. This video you see here are those experiences. We essentially allowed tens of thousands of consumers to gather in the same space at the same time digitally. They can all be fully customized, so have fully customizable avatar, and all talk to each other in real time. So we did this in the games industry with big brands like Yuga Labs. We're building Otherside. We did this in the sports industry. We work with partners like Major League Baseball, doing digital twins of baseball matches. And we did this in the music industry with people like Universal Music getting K-pop artists to be in a digital space with their fans. Now, the vision behind this was that all of these experiences were interoperable. So you as a consumer could go to one of these events, buy some digital items, say a Major League Baseball jersey, and then go to all the other events in the network. Now, in order to do this, we needed a shared global ledger that they could all plug into, and also an interoperable compute platform. So we were like, blockchain is definitely the solution here. So we started looking at blockchains that existed in the market when we had this technology, and the problem we had was scaling. When you have tens of thousands of consumers, hundreds of thousands showing up to one of these events, all trying to interact on-chain at the same time, blockchains just are not designed to do that. So this is what we mean by transparent infrastructure, making it seamless for users to go into experiences and be on-chain. So there are three key problems that need to be solved in order to do this. The first is an infrastructure problem. So this is what we're building at Somnia. Essentially, you need a blockchain with a very high performance, super high throughput, and very low latency. Somnia can do over 1 million transactions per second, which allows it to scale up to hundreds of thousands, millions of consumers on-chain at the same time. It also has sub-second finality with very low latency, so transactions resolve instantly, giving very smooth experiences to consumers. The next issue is user onboarding. If you guys have onboarded onto Web3 before, you know it's quite a weird experience. I'll talk about this later in the presentation of how that experience needs to become much more seamless for end consumers. The final issue is cost. Today, most of these items that were in these experiences cost $10, $5, $2, 69 cents. If you have multiple dollar gas fees, that does not work. The other issue is when you want developers to put more logic on chain, they have to pay for that computation. If that computation is too expensive, these experiences are not financially viable. So these problems need to be solved in order for blockchain to become transparent infrastructure. So I want to kind of talk through this concept a little bit more, and harping back to Web 2 and why I think Web 2 has nailed transparent infrastructure. So if you think about a consumer application where I want to buy some food, I go to the application, click buy, the food comes to my front door. Behind the scenes, there's a host of technology going on that the consumer never knows about. So that application will go off to a web server. That'll be hosted on AWS, GCP. Consumer doesn't know what cloud provider it's running, and neither should they know. They're using OAuth to kind of authenticate and get into the application. They don't know anything about that. And they're also using complex internet protocols like HTTP, TCP, IP. Again, they have no clue about all of this stuff. They just go in, buy food, and get food. If you think about a video game, that's an even more complex application. Here you have what we call hybrid infrastructure. So it's running across cloud and bare metal. You also have much more complex networking protocols. You also have very complicated matchmaking algorithms. So players need to be matched based on their geography and based on their skill. You then also have complex front ends with complex rendering and AI. So all of this, though, is hidden from the user. I just download the game, press play, jump into a match, and have a good time. Don't know any of that back-end stuff. Web3, on the other hand, we decided to make the back-end front and center. And this I find quite odd. And I want to run through an experience of onboarding a new consumer and them doing a swap on a DEX to kind of highlight this. So first of all, as a consumer, I want to swap on a DEX. I need to know where is that DEX running, what chain is running it. OK, it's running on this chain. I now need to go get that chain's gas token. So I go to a centralized exchange, buy that gas token. Then I need to work out which wallet is compatible with this chain. So I go find a wallet, install that into my browser. If it's on Solana, there's a wallet there. If it's on Ethereum, there's a wallet there. If it's on Sui, Aptos, there's a different wallet there. I then offboard my gas token to the mainnet, and there I have my gas ready to use on the chain. But wait, the problem now is we've fragmented the blockchain infrastructure so that there's loads of different chains, and often consumers will have to bridge to the relevant chain. I don't know if people in the audience have bridged very much, but it's quite a scary experience. You kind of put your tokens into the bridge and hope they come out the other side. So now I'm finally ready to do my swap. I go to the website. I get greeted with dozens of pop-ups warning me about various things and approving various things. And I finally get to do my swap. If the chain is congested, that swap can take seconds, if not minutes, and cost multiple dollars. This, I think we all agree, is a crazy workflow. We're taught very early on in user experience design, every single step you put in the user's journey creates drop-off. And it's amazing to me that we have any consumers actually using blockchains today because of all these steps they need to go through. So how do we solve this? There are three major key components that need to be done in order to solve this. First, you need a very high throughput blockchain that can support millions of consumers, that has very low latency and very low cost. That's what we're building at Somnia. The next thing, there are two key technologies that are making it much easier for users to onboard. So the first one is account abstraction. Essentially, what this allows you to do is use social logins that create a wallet on behalf of the user. So you can use things like Facebook, use things like Twitter. A wallet is then created. The user can then interact with the app. You also now are seeing more applications use gas sponsorship. So this is already ubiquitous in Web3 gaming, but I believe the whole industry will start using this. In this model, the app developers themselves pay for the gas on behalf of the user. So this means the user no longer needs to get hold of a gas token to utilize an app. That is done for them by the apps. That just makes sense to me. If you think about Web 2, app developers pay for the end infrastructure, and we think the same thing will happen in Web 3 as well with gas sponsorship. The final new technology is chain abstraction. So the way this works at a high level is you go to an app, and then that app routes you to the relevant blockchain depending on where the data lives, where the logic lives, and where the liquidity lives. That, we believe, is a central piece of infrastructure for users to just go to the app and get routed to the relevant blockchain. So we have a couple of apps in our ecosystem that already feel like this today. The first app I wanted to point out was this application. So this is called Chunked. This is essentially a massively multiplayer online version of Minecraft. Now, the very interesting thing about this application is every single part of the application is on-chain. Every time a player moves, that is written to the blockchain. Every time a player crafts an item, that is on the blockchain. Every time they mine a block or place a block, that is on the blockchain. So the reason they can do that is Somnia's performance characteristics. But a consumer doesn't know this at all. They just go to the application, they log in with social auth or log in as guest, get put into the app, and they're now interacting on-chain without ever knowing they're running on top of a blockchain at the end of the day. So this is what we mean by transparent infrastructure. Seamless user flows with them interacting on-chain without even knowing it. The next app is an app called Fan3. This application allows fans to interact with their famous stars, be they sporting stars or be those music stars. The way this works is you go up to your favorite event, say you go to your music event or your sporting event, you scan in with an NFC chip, an app then verifies you, allows you to interact with your famous star. The star can then drop you value in the form of digital goods, access to future events, or talk to you directly. This gives fans a way to engage with their famous superstars in a much more seamless manner. All of this is on-chain. All the digital collectibles, all the user flow is all done fully on-chain. But the consumer never knows it. They just go to the app, log in, and get to interact with a famous star, trade the digital assets, but they never know they're on the blockchain at the end of the day. And this is what we mean by transparent infrastructure. So if we get to this world of transparent infrastructure, what does it mean for the Web3 space? How will everything change? So the first thing is you will create a universal identity for consumers. So consumers will kind of be interacting with all these apps, putting a digital footprint there, and then everything they own will be on-chain. So to be able to understand who a consumer is and what they do. With the introduction of things like ZK technology, we can now verify more things about a user. So you can have things like proof of humanity to show this is an actual human and not a bot. Or this consumer went to university, this consumer is a gamer, giving you kind of an overall view of who that consumer is, allowing developers to attract those consumers in a more interesting manner. The next thing you get is composable applications. So once you put more logic and data on-chain for these applications, other applications can build off that logic and data. So we are big believers in this because we believe this will make more applications faster. This already happened in DeFi back in 2021. We had DeFi Summer, and some of the key DeFi building blocks were created, and then loads of other developers came on and created a Cambrian explosion of different applications. We think this will happen across all industries, and we are very focused on the entertainment industry here, because building these primitives allows more developers to build more applications faster, which means more good applications for consumers, which means more consumers. The final thing is new application types completely. So with the advent of AI, everyone now can be a coder, or very soon they can. With that and all the composable logic and data, you can now build applications significantly faster with much smaller teams. This, we believe, will create massive innovation and find new application types that have never been seen before. New applications tend to be things that cause step changes in industry. If you think about mobile, think about free-to-play, these will cause massive step changes in those industries, and we believe the same thing will happen with Web3 because of all of this stuff being on-chain. So I want to end by just calling everyone saying, we need to get the technology and the fundamental infrastructure out of the way. Consumers should not know what blockchain they're running on. They should just go to apps, have fun. This is the only way we're going to be able to onboard the next billion of consumers onto Web3. Thank you very much. And that's it.